Consider the smart meter. They want you to have one. They want you to have one. Suddenly they're being rolled out. After decades of not knowing we needed one, suddenly we do. Of course we do. Natch. Obvs. Now, I don't know about you, but I've managed to manage my use of electricity and gas without the use of additional high-tech equipment. If it's cold, I turn on the heating, and if it's dark, I turn on the lighting. When unit costs are high, well, I'm a bit more careful. This is all you need to know. You do know that, don't you? It's all you need to know. Well, you say, I don't mind if it's free. If the benevolent utilities company wishes to spend all this money on me, little old me, then surely they've got my best interests at heart. I suppose I toyed with this ridiculous conceit for a couple of seconds. These guys, E.ON, Npower, Scottish whatnot, etc., have my best interests, etc., etc. The designers of the smart meter, the IT infrastructure, they've all got my best But let's get real here. Ask the simple question, are smart meters for us, or are they for them? For the grateful energy consumer, or for the benefit of the man? For definitions of the man, see the Oxford Dictionary. Gaz and Lecky. Gaz and Lecky. Dear Lord. A mindless Tom and Jerry style caper in which two types of energy bash the living daylights out of each other.
This is Gaz. Gaz is a mischievous little tyke who, before you know it, can burn an awful lot of energy.
Under my plan of a cap-and-trade system, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket.
And because they went after the stimulus money, they needed to have a certain amount of their meters deployed before they could recoup the cost. In addition to that, they started billing customers for these smart meters months prior to any actual deployment of these meters to the people's homes. So the consumers have been paying for these smart meters all along, even if they didn't have one.
And this is Lecky. No one really knows what they get up to half the time, and together they're out of control.
Dozens and dozens of people who are reporting some really huge billing spikes, in one case over 1,000%.
What they're doing now, they're constructing what they call a smart grid. And they're going to make it easier for you and me to call our homes on our cell phone and turn down our air conditioning on a hot afternoon if we're not there. Great. But that may well mean that a hacker in Shanghai with his cell phone could do the same thing or worse. And a so-called smart grid that is as vulnerable as what we've got is not smart at all. It's a really, really stupid grid.
What I'm finding is that these smart meters are emitting radiation every few seconds.
A massive part of the smart meter agenda is to literally track every single movement within a house. So every time somebody switches on a light, every time somebody switches on an appliance, each of these appliances has a unique code which is then effectively transmitted through the smart meter down the grid. So anybody that is minded to do so can hone in on an individual residence and actually track what is going on in that household.
So they can figure out, when is your refrigerator being used? When is your TV on? What are you doing with your energy? And they're going to start having a profile of you as an individual.
There seems to be a critical systemic issue with these misnamed smart meters. They're actually causing fires, in many cases, after they're installed. After hundreds of blazes with very few admissions of fault, the insurance adjusters are catching on.
Saw the meters fully engulfed in flames when I came in.
Well, luckily, Kevin got home just in time and was able to put out the fire. This is all that remains of the box now. And this right here is the meter that was attached that he thinks may have caused the fire.
Well, tonight there's a major development from PECO. After at least 24 fires and more than a dozen incidents of overheating, the energy giant is halting its controversial smart meter installation program.
When I filed my initial complaint, Central Maine Power responded with a 250-page basically rebuttal on why smart meters are so safe, and they hired Exponent, which is a science and consulting firm that has represented the tobacco industry. They've represented the asbestos industry. So this is a firm that industry hires to prove that dangerous products are safe.
How many smart meter fires have there been?
We've installed approximately 9 million smart meters, and we have no reports of smart meters causing fire.
Not one single report.
We don't.
Other picture, this is probably the better side of the garage. I don't know if you can see it. The meters were over here.
And so the fire department basically said that the meters started the blaze?
If you just took one look at the wreckage and said smart meters and walked away and never called back or came back.
Well, Brittany, you were saying earlier that there was no smart meter fires, and this lady right here has pictures of her smart meter that exploded on her house.
Josh, can I ask you to stop recording?
Get gas and lecky under control. Smart meters will provide accurate energy bills and show exactly how much you're using in pounds and pence.
Well, now that the cat is out of the bag and we all know that smart meters emit dangerous radiation and spy on people's personal activities inside their homes, it seems a bit odd that the power companies are still pretending they don't do that. I guess they're not familiar with the term criminal liability. Maybe they've had their heads too close to their smart meters for a little too long.
Let's get gas and lecky under control.
It was a terrible idea. Without the ability for the public to get honest, transparent answers from the government and from BC Hydro, they were left to their own devices.
Which for many BC Hydro customers meant turning to the internet.
And a quick Google search of smart meters will give you thousands of pages of bad news. We have a large number of British Columbians, over 100,000, that have not yet received meters, and it's because they don't want them. It has nothing to do with a lack of technology. It has nothing to do with the labor shortage. It's customers that are saying no.
Get gas and lecky under control. By 2020, every home in Britain can claim a smart meter from their energy supplier at no extra cost.
I'm a medical doctor. I received my training in West Germany, and as a young doctor already moved to the US because I loved the United States. My patient, who had recovered from Lyme disease 10 years ago and was in very stable, good health, the moment a smart meter was installed, her health went down, and she can no longer sleep any night. She has a constant feeling of vibration in the body. She feels like she's losing her mind, and she had to evacuate her home to save her life. She moved back in with family members. She has a beautiful home here in Mercer Island in Seattle, in the richest, wealthiest area, in a home that she can no longer live since the smart meter is there.
Now, you might be one of those people who would sue your power company after they make your family sick from radiation, spy on you, jack up your electric bill for using your washing machine at the wrong time of day, and randomly shut off your appliances to balance their grid load stresses. But this video is for people who like to prevent those kinds of things from happening to them in the first place.
There is a smart grid initiative in almost every industrialized nation happening at the same time. And what that provides is the potential for disaster to happen on a catastrophic scale.
That's why by 2020, every home in Britain can upgrade to a smart meter to transform how you buy and use your gas and electricity.
I made a call to a government agency. I started to talk about the problems with the meters, and he was getting agitated, and he said, they're just like cell phones. There's nothing wrong with these meters, they're just like cell phones. And I said, no, it's not true. There's a problem with these meters in the switch mode power supply. And he said to me, how do you know about switch mode power supply? And I said to him, what is your name? And he hung up on me. And then about 10 minutes later, he called me back on a different phone, and he told me there is a problem with the switch mode power supply. He knows about this, but he can't talk. And I think that a lot of people are scared to talk, and a lot of people know what's going on here. Electricians know, people at Con Edison know, but I don't think they know what to do. I would say that it's better to do the right thing, because when people are silent, a lot of people can die.
It's time to get Gaz and Lecky under control.
Our concern is that smart meters add to this multiple source exposure to radio frequency radiation. Radio frequency radiation that we know causes a variety of biological effects, and where we have very strong evidence that it causes disease, specifically brain cancer and other diseases.
All energy suppliers will be installing smart meters at no extra cost to let you see exactly how much energy you're using in pounds and pence.
Despite overwhelming evidence of biological harm from this type of electromagnetic radiation, the utility industry has assumed the safety of smart meters without doing any testing. For the past 29 years, Dr. Deacon Lee has conducted original research and epidemiology for Kaiser Permanente in Oakland, California.
I'm not aware of any safety studies has been done to examine the safety of a smart meter. To me, a manufacturer wants to give a product to consumer, especially in this case to everybody, imposed on everybody. They are the ones who should carry the burden to prove it is safe before they can give to other people. It's not up to consumer to demonstrate they are unsafe.
Whatever is happening to Americans with this technology is going global. Every one of these energy companies in the United States is embedded in an international grid of energy delivery, and they're working to control every household across the world using this kind of technology.
I got a bill in December for $1,107. There's got to be a mistake.
No mistakes, says PG&E. After reviewing their accounts, the company says their meters were working correctly, just like those of the 1,500 other Californians who complained. Consumer advocate Mindy Spat says that still doesn't explain something else.
Customers with the smart meters claim that their energy usage has inexplicably risen since the meters were put in.
So in other words, it makes it look like all of a sudden they're using twice as much energy as they used to use.
Exactly.
An experiment by some students at Stanford is raising new questions tonight about the accuracy of PG&E's controversial new smart meters.
People all over the state have been complaining about inflated bills. 7 on Your Side's Michael Finney is here now to tell us more about the students' experiment.
Like so many others, these students' PG&E bill went through the roof at just about the same time their new smart meter was installed.
We start the week with an explosive investigation into the massive mistakes being made with power bills. Serious flaws affecting every electricity user with a smart meter have been uncovered. And when this whistleblower told his power company what he'd found, they offered to pay him off. This exclusive investigation by James Thomas has sparked calls for a national inquiry.
But after making calls to have all of this repaired, what really shocked Kevin was the bill associated with this. $5,000, all his responsibility.
I was under the understanding that because we're a Hydro One customer, that anything that has to do with electrical, other than the panel inside, is responsible for, they're responsible for it, not us.
Unfortunately not. Hydro is only responsible for the line coming in and the meter that is attached to the box.
You have to realize that the homeowner owns all of this equipment, the piping, the conduit system, this box, the piping that goes through the roof in this case, or that's on the outside of the house. That's all the responsibility of the homeowner.
What does Hydro own?
The utility company, Hydro One, Toronto Hydro, owns this.
That can leave homeowners frustrated. Kevin wonders why a new meter was ever installed on old equipment, in his case, nearly 60 years old.
The homeowner should be advised to say whether we have to upgrade the system, or there should be some sort of notification as to what our involvement is as a homeowner.
Mr. Speaker, my question to the Minister of Energy. In her 2014 report, the Auditor General found that the government had forced smart meters onto Ontarians without doing a business case analysis or cost-benefit analysis. The cost of the program doubled to $2 billion, just as the NDP predicted it would. And last week, we learned that time-of-use pricing had shifted less than 1% of peak demand, even though peak pricing is double that of off-peak pricing. Many Ontarians are unable to change their pattern of energy use because they need to use the power when they need to use it. Will the government stop forcing time-of-use pricing onto Ontarians?
Thank you. Minister of Energy.
As a scientist, we don't have to look very far, but neurological disease, Parkinson's, MS, ALS, autism, learning disabilities in children, behavioral problem in children, that's all exploding exponentially. And the only thing that fits from an environmental perspective and from an epidemiological perspective is that this is the electromagnetic waves that are penetrating our body that are responsible for this. And fortunately enough, we have good science now.
Over the past 80 years, more than 6,000 research studies have been published on the biological effects of electromagnetic radiation. The majority of these studies have shown biological damage being done. Of the many more recent advances in research, one notable study was published earlier this year by the University of Athens. The results over an 8-month period showed 143 proteins in the mammalian brain were altered after exposure to either a mobile phone or a DECT phone base, including proteins which have already been linked to Alzheimer's, glioblastoma, stress, and metabolism. Lead author Adamantia Fragipoulou states, "This study is anticipated to throw light in the understanding of health effects like headaches, dizziness, sleep disorders, memory disorders, brain tumors, all of them related to the function of the altered brain proteins."
No, you don't. Gotcha.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me apologise once again for the disruption to your evening. Like most of you, we've been having problems with gas and lecky, but I'm delighted to tell you we've got them under control. Enjoy the upcoming feature. Thank you.